There we go. I had something out of sync. All right. Sorry about that little tech confusion. Let's see who we got in the house. We got a bunch of you guys already in. Thank you for waiting. I saw a few of you guys in early. We got Todd, what's happening? Todd and Raya. Raya? Am I saying that right? Sorry if not. Darren, Todd, Avis Mendez, what's going on, everyone? I decided to try putting it on Facebook again. So if you guys are on Facebook, if it doesn't go well over there on Facebook, click the link over to YouTube, Airbrush Down Dirty Chick. Bleh. Airbrush Down Dirty Chicks. No, not that. Airbrush Down and Dirty Tricks over on YouTube. And you'll get a nice stable connection that doesn't glitch out. Because I'm already seeing it say live feed interrupted, live feed interrupted. So I'll see how it goes and go from there. Yeah, we just did it twice. Hey, Jim, what's happening? Hey, Jeff. Yeah, you guys are on Facebook. I already see it's stuttering. Just because that's Facebook over on the YouTube feed. It's perfect. So if this kills out, go over to Airbrush Down Dirty Tricks on YouTube and check out the feed. We got a fun project going tonight. We are doing a little Tiki time. Let's see if I can bring that up here. This is what we got going. So we're doing this Tiki version right here. Which is a version, so that's a canvas I did a long time ago. That sits at Coast Airbrush, and to this day, and that was done on canvas. That was done, I think, all freehand except for I blocked it out to do the black background. So it's a very similar process as what I'm doing here tonight, because that was a white canvas. This is a white piece of metal. So this is how I would treat it on a hood of a car or door, a piece of metal canvas, whatever hard surface is going to be, I'll be treating it the same way. We're going to do this with more masking, but you can also do paper cut, or you can do it with freehand, just following the images. It's really your call. It is available for download, so if you want to follow along at a later time, go through step by step, you can follow exactly what I'm doing. And there's two different variants, one with the flowers, how I have it here, and one without, which you can kind of position how you want. And yeah, so this is the vector that's available right now, and this comes with these hibiscus flowers separate, so you don't have to use them, and you can kind of place them where you want. So this is the whole file. What I've done for tonight, and when you get it, it's basically two cuts, or it's three sections. You have the flower silhouettes separate. I have in case I need them, and then I designed it. There's two ways you can go about it. You can go about it this way, which is how I'm doing it tonight, or a full silhouette with none of this detail in there, you know, or partial. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it. So you can do it like this, simple breakdown or full silhouette, or how I'm doing it tonight. All the options are there, and it's a file that you can customize and do however you want. So, Jero Mendez, how we doing, buddy? Thank you for popping in. Appreciate it. I see you've been working on some great stuff, and those little sculptures, the skull sculptures are really cool. They're looking awesome, and the classes are looking great you've been doing. So thank you for popping in. Okay, so this is what I have plotted now on the first panel. So, because what we're going to do is I'm going to pull this in Woodgrain, and I'm going to pull these in Woodgrain those before any detail. Basically, I'm doing it as if this is a piece of wood, and then we're going to carve the detail onto it. So we're going to put the wood grain in first. I'm going to show you why that works, and you know, a couple fun ways to do it. Like I said, we're going to be basically doing it with a chipping brush, and then my second part is this mask is going to go right inside it. This has all the detail already cut out of it. Okay. Now, if you don't have a plotter, and if you notice some of Gerald's classes, you can do really complex. You don't need a plotter to do any of this. But if you have one, there's a benefit, because you can just cut it over and over again. You're not cutting the surface. But this design, when you download the file, has the printout. You can transfer this image onto your board. You can hand cut this on paper and blow through it section by section. You know, I use the technology a lot, and I use a plotter, but I'll say it a million times. Hopefully, eventually it sinks in. I use my plot files the same way I would do hand cut on paper or hand cut on a car, like if I just sheet taped it. I use the same process and method. So don't think any of these lessons you need a plotter to do it. Everything can be done traditionally by hand. The only time plotters are really, really necessary is when you, and you can still do it without it because I've done it, when you're doing like ultra repetitive Celtic knot jobs or patterned backgrounds and 1,000 hexagon or weird shapes that's repeated over and over and over and over and over again. That's where a plotter really comes in handy. But for all this artwork stuff, for me, it's a simpler way to do it and show you than me hand cutting everything here. So whenever you see a plot line cut, just think of it as it's the same as transfer, taping, drawing, and hand cutting all the shapes, or printing and paper cutting. It's the same process. The steps don't really change. The plotter just makes it easier in a way because I don't have to cut it directly on the surface, and I don't have to spend the first hour of the video hand cutting everything in front of you. That's the benefit of having the plotter, but none of it's needed, okay? So there's always a few comments that get thrown around the industry or from trolls that, oh, everything you do is plotted, blah, blah. The reason I do it, is kind of for the videos. The same reason Bob Ross painted once, and then painted a second one, and then painted a third one, and whichever one was the best is the one that the ad was. There's a process to it to make these videos possible and to do these big complex things in 2 to 3 hours. So that's kind of why I'm doing it. That's my little rant on it. And there's a lot of other benefits to it, which I've discussed in videos. So, you know, don't think of it as, oh, I can't do any of these, I don't have a plotter. You just have to, every step I get to, you're going to do the same thing without a plotter. It's just, there's just different approaches. It's just a tool, guys. It's all it is, just a tool. And it's aluminum metal plate. Yeah, so these are the same polymetal panels I always use, which is an aluminum on both sides and then a plastic core in the middle, which makes them light, durable, better to ship, as opposed to, and they're actually cheaper now. They used to be more expensive when I first started, but I used to just use like 040, 080 aluminum. You could get that white or black as well, and we would just paint on that. Same treatments, sand it, scuff it, do your artwork, and go from there. But these have gotten cheaper, and they're actually better for shipping. They don't really dent. Like, if you did that with those aluminum panels, you'd have a dent for the most part. But these, you don't. And, you know, I'd have display panels I'd ship and bring to shows, and the corners would always get bent over time with the straight aluminum unless they were really thick and heavy. And the nice thing is these, if you had aluminum this thick, it'd be a brick to carry around, but these are super light. So that's why I like these polymetal panels. All right, what else we got going on? Let's see. Mike Stanton, what's going on? Javier, Dan, who else we got? Avis. Cool, we got a bunch in here tonight. Good, good, good. All right, let's go up to the reference. So like I said, that's the original. That one hangs at Coast Airbrush, and that was on canvas and framed canvas, which is, I got to do some freehand canvas here and there as well on the channel, because there's a different warmth to it when you look at the way the light kind of catches the, you see this, hold on a second. You know, the light, you can see how the light catches the canvas nap. It's just a different look, so it is kind of fun and cool. That was the original. Then me and Rhino did a version of it. I also did a version before this that was just freehand on yellow. I've done a bunch of variants of this one as well. Me and Rhino did like a black ashwood version of it. So we've used this quite a few times, and I figured why not make it available for you guys and have some fun with it. I'm getting them for $40 for a 4x6 sheet. That's not bad. No, that's great. Because I pay like $95 for a 4x8 sheet up here, and then I have them. They're all cut to size, so I cut them into 18 by 24s, and I can hand cut them from there. So this image is a little bit bigger. My panel's a little bit bigger than the image. The panel itself is 12 by 16, which is a good framing size if anyone wants to frame this. The image is a little smaller. That way I can have some fire and stuff in the background. So I'm just going to center it in, and I'm going to use the good old hinge technique to get this on here. There we go. What'd you buy, Brian? Where do I get that easel support? Yeah, this is metal. So this is we'll bring up some of our brands that we like to use. So that is by Vision Air, VSION Air. You can look them up online. You can look them up on Facebook. They have lots of different options. This is one of their desk options, and actually my whole I'm not sure if I can get it here. No, you really can't see it, but the whole rack, if you look up here, that holds the cameras, and that's the easel itself. If I do a quick connect release here, hold on. So if you see this rack, it's actually hanging from the ceiling, comes down. That's also Vision Air as well. That whole easel part, and it actually comes up and over my bench like that. So that's all by Vision Air as well. Let me get this back. These quick disconnects are nice, come in handy. There we go. That sign shop. Oh yeah, yeah, you can get tons of odd sizes. It's great. Awesome, awesome, Brian. Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. Just little bits here and there. Getting better stuff. All right, let's switch on back. Shut off the sponsors. Hold on a second. Now that I've moved that camera too much, now it wants to swing on me. Well, I'll have to deal with that camera later. Alright, sorry about that. Oh, very cool, guys. Yeah, just little bits at a time. Cheers to new stuff. Alright. Little squeegee. So this is how I always get my vinyl. I talk about it a lot. My vinyl on. Basic hinge technique. I did mark my top, so I knew. Roll it back. I just take a little tear, and then just take it off. And I am using the FBS Blue mask, which is my preferred mask for all my painting on, like, I don't use it all the time for flat surfaces. I do on the video because I just want to showcase it. The reason I use the blue, it's the thinnest vinyl on the market out of anything that's out there. And it has the most flex and stretch. So when you're on motorcycle tanks in three-dimensional shapes, I have used or found nothing better. And I've used pretty much every manufactured type. And I've used every one so far that said they make their own, but it's really just a relabeled version of someone else's, which is extremely common in this business. I like to use it from the source. This is made by, distributed by FBS, and I work with them in development, so I know how well it works. Oops. This transfer tape was super old, so that happens sometimes. So I use my hinge technique, and now here's always the problem. Not to sound like a fan. That's cool, man. Yep, I appreciate it. And I looked up to guys like Craig Fraser and Gerald and guys coming up as well, and that's how you developed your skill set. Avery makes quite a bit. You'd be surprised, they don't make a lot of the off-brands because Avery is really expensive. Just like FBS makes their own specifically. They don't make it for anyone else. General Formulations, there's a company called GF, General Formulations. General Formulations, they have a yellow and a white paint mask, and 90% of the stuff on the market that I've seen is made by General Formulations, and they white label everything for anyone who wants it. So them I know for a fact make a lot of it. Not them all, but a lot of it. Oracle makes some, and there's a few other companies. Alright, before I get started, I don't want to get anything on this white area, but I want to leave this outer frame. So we're just going to Just gonna cover up that white. Okay, and now the issue is, yeah, but the yellow is hard as heck to peel off. It depends on who's yellow. Like the Avery is good. It doesn't peel off sanded surfaces as good as it does like that's sanded clear, cured clear. But if you have dry cured base coat, it actually comes off really well. Gary Shees, what's happening? Yeah, using. Cool. Okay. All right. So a lot of times you can't see your vinyl cut. Okay, no matter what vinyl you're using. So the trick I came up with years ago, not came up with, but I figured out was you can use wet paint and roll. Sometimes it gets through your cracks. Just powdered charcoal works great. Just give it a little, get a little on there. Okay, and now I can just rub that in. And if you look, now you can see those lines pop out really good. I'm going to tap the ISO down on this camera a little bit. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. So now you can see the lines nice and easy. And you can see the first part of what I'm gonna pull. Before I pull it, I did have a little piece of test metal here. Where do you get that on Amazon? Where do you get what on Amazon? What did I... Oh, this charcoal? Dude, I bought this at an art supply store probably 15 plus years ago. I don't even know if they make it anymore. So you can look it up, but I'm sure you can find something close. You can just get Pouch powder. Blue carpenter's chalk works good as well. Don't use black carpenter's chalk. Black carpenter's chalk is permanent. It's dye. But blue works. But you should be able to find graphite powder or something like this at an art supply store. Like I said, this bottle, I probably had it about 15 plus years. Pouch powder works too. Like, not pouch powder, like the 3M guide coat powder works fine. Alright. So, like I said, there's a ton of ways to do wood graining. I'm just going to use the old school, just crappy chip brush way and just drag colors. I'm using transparent colors, so I'm going to put color over. What you can do, but you got to usually use dissimilar paints to have it work best, is you can put a ground color down. Sometimes what I'll do is a solvent ground color like a tan or a light gray or whatever the tone of the wood's going to be. And then I'll sand that when it's dry, scuff it, and then I'll use water-based paint to drag and do the wood graining. That way the water base doesn't reactivate the solvent base, or vice versa. When you go water on water, sometimes you drag too much, you reactivate the base, it gets messy. Solvent, it really gets messy. So I'm just going to take the brush, and what you're just going to do is you're just kind of going to get it wet enough like this, and you can thin this down if you want, and you're just really going to like drag, okay? You're just going to drag, okay? Like this, really simple, okay? That's really all I'm looking for. You know, if you go wetter, you see you can really do a lot with it, and I could do, and I'm not the best at it. I love to get, actually, there's a guy I'd love to get up here to do this, who does amazing wood grain. There's wood graining tool kits, like a rubber stamp that you rotate down. Me and Ryan have used those. They work great. I actually want this a little darker. So I'm going to put a little black in here. I'm going to mix that up. And I think I'm going to just thin it just a little bit. with a little reducer, so with a little water here. Like I said, you can play with this a lot. Like that's really dark and that's really wet. But you can play with that, and you can use like another brush to drag. There's a million ways to do it. I'm going to keep this really simple because I don't want a ton of wood grain. And there's a bunch of stencils. Yeah, Dennis Matthews stencil, and I meant to bring it up, but I don't have it here with me. A lot of times what I do is I do a simple wood grain drag style like this, and I use Dennis's over the top. But you'll see why I'm just going to keep it simple. All right. Yeah, Dennis Woodgrain is great. There's a guy on he's Facebook. I met him at a Createx class, and he does the most amazing wood grain. If you look up Everett Nautical, he's out of Connecticut. The wood grain he does on boats, on these $1 million yachts and big cruisers, you would you look at it and you think it's real wood, but it's actually fake wood on $1 million boat because the boat sits outside, and real wood and all that would be worse to have. So, but he puts like all the graining, joints, like biscuit joints and butterfly joints, and everything in the wood's amazing. I'd love to get him up here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do these guys first. Okay, and I'm just going to keep this really simple. It's like just like when I dry brush a minifigure. I'm really just trying to, and I'm going to go light. Really light, and just going to drag like this. Like I'm just kissing the surface. I don't want it heavy. I almost want to look like koa wood, which is from Hawaii, which has a really fine, small grain. You can almost hear I'm barely touching the surface. I'm just dragging like that. See that? This is all I'm doing. I'm like I said, I'm not trying to do a redwood forest swirly wood grain. I just want a fine wood grain like this. And I'm going to be putting everything transparent over it. And so it's just going to be back there because we're going to actually basically going to carve the design out of this. Okay. So silhouette there. I want to drag these in a different direction. So oops, I got to get you out. Okay. Okay, so really simple. Like I said, I'm just taking a little bit. Like I said, I love using Createx for this because it just works great. I did a 32 Plymouth interior a couple years back, and it came out spectacular. And all I did was the same technique, but I used a House of Color pan mixed up tan on all the interior trim, and basically got the tone. And then I did all the dry brushing, and I did more. I did a wetter version where it had more of that wood grain, because the original one, a lot of people even thought they would back then. They were just a decal, basically. They had a water slide, or basically an old film wrap. Okay. Good. Super easy, super simple. That's it. Like I said, all this stuff, it's really just going to be background, and I can add more in later, or I can freehand one. But this just has what I want. It's real fun to mess with. Like I said, you can mess with wetter versions and do all sorts of different combos and stuff. Paul Stahl from PPG does an amazing technique. I'll see if I can maybe do some videos in the near future of it. Yes, exactly. And for those joining late, like I said, if you go on MacKay Fine Art, I have some new products. These are the new medicine cup holders I came out with. So these are available in assembled or unassembled. They go together in like 3 minutes. You're really quick. You just got to glue them if you want them to be permanent. But you actually put them together without glue if you want to. So you can get it built or unbuilt. And there are 2 different styles that have... These are for the medicine cups. So the standard medicine cups fit in. And then I have a paint holder. This type of paint holder, and that fits like the Createx and the New World's 1-ounce bottles in them. So those are all available in the store right now. Alright, so that's good. Now, we can actually do the details. Now we're going to fit this guy in. So, inlaying something. Now, a lot of times I'll print on transparent vinyl, which is the FBS green. So this is the FBS blue mask is what I'm using. But they also have the FBS green, which I don't think I have a link for. Gold. Nope. You got gold. I don't have the green. It's okay. You don't need to see it, but it's the green version, which is clear. So, sometimes it's hard to line this up. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can freehand it and just kind of freestyle it on there. Or, let me get another cutting mat here. So all you really need is a couple key points. So if I go like this, and I grab this point, I can be a little loose, I can grab another point here. I usually look for nice like corners. Or you can make registration mark cuts like dots that you line up. But you really only need 2 points will do, 3 points is ideal, kind of like GPS. So I usually try to get it multiple points. The more I got, the better. Okay, so I just cut around it like this. And you'll see. So now, this is going to dock. If I put a piece of tape right there, so I know that one's good. And then I get down here, I know that one's good. Then I can just double check everything and make sure. See, I can just get a little bit inset, yep. Okay, I know everything's going to line up within reason. If you're not doing this, you're just going to do the printouts like I did here, and you just hand cut these lines. So you can't cut that shape out of the tape or the paper, spray it, and then you cut your next one and they'll inlay. What I do, whenever I plot, I always plot 1-to-1. So I plot and I print the same size whenever possible. So that way when I want to do like just freehand shield off the paper, I can just cut and they line up. Keeping everything standard size. Efren, what's going on? So now I can do the same thing. Hinge technique. Roll it back. Hope everyone's having a fun Friday night. Sorry about last night. Yeah, my network was being screwy, and I couldn't figure out why, and it was getting close, and honestly I was having a long day to begin with, trying to get this ready, amongst other stuff, and I knew it was like close to 7 o'clock, I'm like, this just isn't going to happen. Or if it was going to happen, it was going to be just a mess during the feed. I just didn't want that to happen. So I just decided to abandon the feed and then look at the network. And basically, my computer was on the wrong network because I have 2 networks in the house. And one of them needed to be reset, and then I reset the main one, and then checked everything was fine. So it was just gremlins. But we got it worked out, and I think everything's working good. See how that all nicely fit? And that fits right in. I weeded these out because they're going to be the first one to come out anyway. And if you're wondering, this is this transfer tape I'm using. This is by R-Tape. This is AT75, Apple Tony 75. This is a nice clear. It doesn't have that fingerprint texture. It's got like a grid. You can hear it. This stuff stretches beautifully. It actually, with a little bit of heat, it stretches at the same rate as vinyl. So you can get it around like really severe shapes. Like I said, there's a few other clear transfer tapes on the market. Most of them suck. This one I've had the best use out of. And then, you know, I went back and forth on this before I get started. I went back and forth quite a bit. Do I do it on a white panel? Do the fire? I mean, do I do it on a black panel and then do it, and then I already have the dark background? Or do it on a white panel and then finish all the details, and then I can back mask and do all the smoke and fire? That's the approach I chose. Either way, you have to counter mask at some point whenever you have something this colorful on black or white. So, because if I was doing it on a dark surface, I would have done the same thing, but I would have done all the brush strokes in white and started doing all the toning in white first. So there's always a plus or minus way to go at this point. So this is the way I chose to do it. Transfer tape looked like it has a good grip. I wouldn't say strong, like strong enough. It's not overly strong though. It doesn't really. It releases well. Because it'll pull off this. It's kind of. I usually pull it a little slower, so I'm not pulling the panel off. But no, it works really well. I find it like it's just the right amount. All right, so you know what? Let's do side by side cam. Good. Okay. So we got that. Now again, we can't see our cuts. So let me show you what I got here. Oh, and if anyone decides they want to order these, I'm going to be making these on demand pretty much because I hand make them out of my laser cutter. So when you order, they'll probably take a few days before they ship out. I'm guaranteeing if you order within 5 days, they'll ship. I don't know how international shipping is going to work, right? So if you're international, hold off. I haven't figured out the rates and how that's going to work, so it might be too expensive and not worth it. But anyone in the U.S., it'll be a normal ship, normal small rate ship charge, and you can get them unbuilt or built. All right, so again, I'm just going to do a quick run where you can see all the detail. There you go. Now you can see all the cuts. I want to get it all out of there if possible. Okay, so now I look at, this is how I work. So I'm on a light color surface. Whoever's watching this a lot, you'll know the deal. Which way do I go? When I'm on a light color surface and I'm doing dark color work, which order do I go in? Let's see who pays attention. And there's a lot of stuff I can pull off here. But I work in a specific order, so I give everyone a little bit of time. No, I don't really go light to dark. No, I go exactly back to front. So I'm working in the darks coming up. So basically, because it's a light color surface, I'm going to be carving the shadows. So I know that these are whole, so they're going to be dark, obviously. This area here is going to be the darkest because it's inside the jaw. In between all these little teeth gaps as well. Okay, I can pull off. Those are going to be the darkest. Those are the holes. So let's just start with that. There's other stuff I can pull off. I don't want to overly confuse you. These are going to be like the deepest parts, and everything else I'm going to work from back to front. You know, so in steps, and you'll see how I do it, and it makes more sense along the way. And these are actually behind, so I look what's in behind. I can actually shade these at the same time because these are behind the teeth. Okay, so I already kind of got that worked in. I do all the shades first, and yeah, exactly. So Gerald, exactly right. So I'm gonna do all the shading. So whatever is the darkest shadows, I'm gonna push those. I'm gonna carve those in, and I'm gonna keep working until the next layer up. Because the cool thing is, if you got all your darkest down, you know, like roughed in and blocked out, then when you start working your next layers, whether you're paper cutting or masking like this, then you can work those layers. Because if you do meet up with your darker layers, it's just going to add, it's going to build. So when I pull this and I pull the next ones out, this is going to be, say this has 2 coats, and then I put 2 more here, well, the overlap will be 4, so this is just going to get progressively darker in the next layer. I'm going to work my way up the scale. Okay, so working for those dark shading and working your way up. So you are kind of you're working dark to lights pretty much. But you're just thinking of it as a grayscale. So you're working background, the darkest, up to the foreground. All right, so I'm going to do this with a dark brown, which this is my, get my paint list here. This is my red oxide. And I'm going to add, I'm not going to say black, I'm going to add a little bit of the violet in here to make it a little darker, because I don't really want to use black straight or add black to it. So let's get the black all in here. Like I said, I don't want to be using black here. It's going to get too dark too fast. And if I do, if I want it a little bit, I can just add just a little tick of black to that color, so it's really dark, but I don't want it to go all the way. I don't want it to go all the way black. So basically what I'm looking for is a really dark brown. Okay. And because I'm going to freehand in a lot of stuff after, and I want to leave room. So now I'm going to start carving the tiki. I'm going to keep my eye on normal light source, which is top down. So under the eyes. Alright, I don't want it 100% because I want to see that wood grain. That's why I did the wood grain first. Okay, I want to be able to see it. Because basically I want to carve this thing out of the wood. Because remember, I can always add darker layers, freehand or what have you. So I just want to keep a scale going. So I can do that. And if I want to give it like a little, like it's got a little bit of a nose bridge, I can couple like this. Just give it that little edge. See what I did there, just a little bit. Like it's carved. But that's going to be like the darkest for now. If you want to push like right under the eye super dark, I would recommend having a second airbrush for this. And I'm going to use my violet and a drop of black for it, but I'm going to over-reduce it a little bit so it's more of a shader color. So if you run into airbrushes, this is a nice way to do it. If you run into one, it's still fine. So look, I'm going to run purple. Okay. Which is purple, but when you go purple over your brown, you'll get what's almost a natural black. It's just much cooler looking. So I want to hit that. If I want to shade it now, so it's almost all the way. See how that looks black? This is the violet with a drop of black. It just makes a better looking shadow. Okay, see that? Groot's uncle. Yes, Groot's petrified uncle. So again, see that same tone. And I might put some glowing eyes in there later. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. Okay. So now I can shade here and make sure that this is behind. And these are just cylindrical shading. So I'm going to cylindrical shade like normal. I'm going to put my core shadow down here, make it a little darker. And I'll do a little bit up top, but this is going to have torch light, so it's going to get brighter. So I'm just going to hit all these. Kind of shadow everything. And if I want to put some darker striations, like little kind of knots and stuff, I can do that. But I can do that anytime. So I mean, some little dark spots. Yeah, exactly, me too. And I could do little, like, extra, like, things, and, like, basically knockouts and knots and things like that. In this if I want. See what I mean? Just a little bit. See how quick that came in? Like, we'll give it a little, like a little knot right there that come out of it. Simple. Same thing here. More against here, so it pushes that into the background. And I'm going to do like a light yellow wash. I guess it's called vampire black. We've never heard that term, but sure. Yeah, I like using blue. When I do like a lot of flag work and stuff, I actually put, sometimes I'll put like a maroon or red in it. So very cool. I like the way that looks. And like I said, if I have the two airbrushes, I can do this now. I can get this really harsh shadow right here. Or as we say in Boston, harsh. Easy peasy. Oh, and the other stuff I forgot to pull out was, and I even said I was going to, is all these other holes. So here. Like I said, if you don't have a plotter, then I recommend just putting transfer tape down and basically cutting it on the transfer tape. It's a lot easier. This cheek is basically, it's actually this right here. I'm going to leave that because it's not going to be as dark. No, I can. You know what? I'm going to do that. Just going to pull that right there. So that's what I've pulled, okay, which is basically... yeah, the interwebs say a lot. Alright, so same thing. Mid. Get in here. Plain black, purple for the darkest areas. Nice and simple. Cool. Alright, so now, that's all our darkest stuff. Now I can pull a whole bunch. Because now I can pull these sections, the eyelids, the nose. I can pull this. No, I can't pull this because I got to do these teeth first. So don't pull this yet because I got to do the teeth around this line. I can pull here, but I can't pull around here. So just don't pull that. I already pulled this. Now I can pull this and this. This. This is deepest. This, and this. I can pull all that. Yes, I can pull all that. That'll be the best stuff to pull. Okay? You see how that worked and why? Hey, Warlock, what's happening? Basically, I could pull the next darkest shade. So if we went, the first layer is the darkest. The next layer is the next. The next layer is the next darkest. The next layer, and then you're pretty much white. And that's kind of the order in which I pull. Raffi, what's happening? Come on, camera, son. Doesn't work with the Chromebook, huh? See if they make an app for a Chromebook. They might make an app that goes with it. Yeah, Chromebooks are kind of limited on what kind of software you can run. Because Chromebooks are their own computer. Like Mac has universal both ways, like Windows works on Mac or most applications. And then PCs are general personal computing and running Windows. Chromebook is like basically a Google phone. It runs its own operating system, and not much is made for it. That's why a lot of schools use it, because they can lock it down pretty easy. So now I can pull all this stuff I marked off. Oops, I don't want that. Oh, where's my pick? I keep losing. There it is. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm going to use this. Like, technically back here is behind that, so I can just do that with paper if I want that. It's not an exact science, kids. You can pick up pretty cheese. I don't even know the term SFF. Oh, small form factor. Yeah, but technically a Chromebook is small form factor. You just want a cheap Windows-based or Mac-based computer. It doesn't have to be anything crazy to run that software. I'm going to leave this leave this in place for now. You know what? I can run this guy too. Yeah, but that's the problem. A lot of the smaller things like Chromebooks and machines won't connect to like a Cameo Silhouette or something like that. So you just want a cheap laptop, you'll be fine. All right. So now this is where we can add some little stuff, like, so this can get dark. But this is why I use transparent colors, so I can just build. See, I don't have to worry about getting paint on this, because it's just going to add to it. But I can come in here and be darker. Alright, but it keeps it kind of dark. And now I can take my little pocket graphics here, and I can hit some little edges like this. And just give it some extra little chisel marks. Oh yeah, iMac will work fine. Yep. The Lenovo's are great. My daughter had Lenovo. I got one. I got an old one, and they'll do for doing like Adobe Illustrator, that new program I talked about a few weeks ago, which was Cut Studio. It was Cut Studio, but not Roland's Cut Studios. Oh, Easy Cut Studio is an app you can get really cheap for designing and cutting on like a Roland. Or other plotters. It's a great piece of software. Oh yeah, for me, it's still one of the best things I developed. Now I'm going to stay darker kind of on the inside edge here. Because remember, every layer here gets less passes. So if I'm doing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you want to count, you can. To get the tone if you're really a specific person. Yeah, so if you're just doing vector work only, that's all you're going to do it for. You don't even need 16 gig. But at this point, a basic 16 gig is kind of a minimum. You can get them pretty cheap, so I definitely recommend it. Especially if you're going to do any type of normal computer design work other than like vector work, because vector is really small. That's what's so good about it, but... Oh, we have a bid from Gary. Thank you, sir. This will definitely be a two-parter. Like I said earlier, I don't think you were in the room yet. But this is going to be a fun project overall. So good. We got that. We got good. We got there. All right. So now we got to figure out what to do next. Let's work up here in the teeth area. And we can do the under mask. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull these, and I have an extra cut here just to make it. So I have that one. And I'm just going to go super simple. Okay, I'm just pulling these, okay? Gives me time to save up. Yeah, this will be a two-parter, for sure. Okay, so I'm just doing like the kind of rear row of the teeth as it radiuses around the cheekbone. And I gotta make sure I get all these teeth. Okay. Honey, what's happening? Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Like, my big thing, and I think Rafa will agree, is the 16 is definitely good. i7 is, yeah. That's kind of your minimum start point you want. Like, so that's kind of baseline now. And buy something that's going to last you quite a while. You don't want to buy something that's going to be gone in a year or two. I usually buy the upper end, the most I can afford to stretch. That way I'm going to get 4, 5, 6 years out of it if possible. You know, that's just kind of how I try to do it. So I'm going to do something that's a little tricky because I want to pull this mask to get all the teeth. But if I pull here, I won't get this. So what I'm going to do for now is I do this often. I'm just going to roll this part of it. Okay, but actually I can do this. I'm going to put an extra cut like right here. And I can cut it off at that joint because it would be a joint there. And I can just hit that loose and I can come up. And I can do another little shadow here. And then I can pull the underside of the jawbone here. Because that stops there. Now I don't have to worry about this for a little bit, you know, the lower part. Yeah, I got a Surface Pro. I still got a Surface Pro 2 that I use. It's just for my background. That blue swirling background is my Surface Pro 2 from a long time ago. Yeah, the Surface Pros are great. And you can draw, they have the pen, which works pretty well for a Windows product. It doesn't work as good as the Apple Pencil or the Wacom or the Huion. I'm a big fan of the Huions now. I think Huions, I'm not going to say they're as good as Wacom, but for 90% of the users out there, the Huion is really good. My Wacom died and I couldn't justify $2,500 to $3,000 on a new one. So I tried the Huion for, I think it was $1,000 or $1,100. And the Wacom is not worth $2,000 more. I can say that truthfully nowadays. Okay. Yeah, so I did that. So I know this is where it gets confusing. And that's why I usually try to do. Honey, thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Wacoms are great. I love it. But they are not $2,000 a unit better anymore than the Huions. I've had them both. I've run them both. For 90% of the stuff you'll do, it's not worth $2,000 more anymore. They're just not. Yeah, it's a shame. I used to really have good luck with Asus back in the day. So I use a Huion now, or my iPad. My Wacom glitched out, and the repair was not guaranteed because of its age and no longer supported. And it was going to be for an equal replacement for the 24-inch HD. And the modern one was going to be $2,800 to $3,200. So I figured I'd try the Huion. Because I could buy it off Amazon. And I actually paid $1,300. And it worked amazing. And then a month later, like 3 weeks later, they had the Amazon days. And it was on sale for $1,000. So I swapped it. And so I paid $1,000 for the Huion 27-inch HD 4K. And it's great. It actually comes with the macro pad. It's a lot lighter. It doesn't have as thick of a glass with the texture, but it still has a matte finish to it. Like I said, for the $1,000, it does everything I need it to do. that probably everyone in this room would need to do. Unless you're at Pixar doing certain specifics and need the Wacom, I don't think you're going to miss it. I think the Wacom is a better, higher-end technology overall. I just don't think it's the king at $2,000 more anymore. I would say if the Huion was $1,200 and the Wacom was $2,000 for the equivalent size and clarity, I'd probably go with the Wacom. But it's not $2,000 more. It is not anymore. And I used to be a purist. I used to say that no one would dethrone Wacom, I don't think. But the Huion and the X Pen has just come a long way. These work. Oh, the companions were a shit show. They charged everything for those, and yeah. I happened to one of my machines. I found a guy that could solder it for me, but I couldn't do it. I stay from Apple. Yeah, I use all Apple. They're just a lot more secure. They've been a lot more stable, and for design, I've had much better luck than my PCs over the years. Shoot, I still got two first generation iPads still run for my pictures and slideshows and stuff. They still work. So yeah, no, I can't. In Apple's, just user interface integration is just second to none. Like I said, I have both. I have PCs and I have Macs, and for gaming, Macs suck. For like deep CAD work, I wouldn't do Mac anyway because they're not as friendly for that stuff. But for Photoshop design, video editing, and what I'm doing here, and my design work as far as art design, never have a problem. Yeah, building 4, it's horrible. Okay. Sorry. No more computer talk to me. Alright, so I'm going to hit where all these teeth go. And now I'm just going to come up, and I'm going to just do my normal hit here. I can do a lot more later. I just want to get the masking off. Because I can do some custom shading, and I can do a bunch of different stuff in here. Like I'm going to come up off this, and I'm just going to follow up here like this, and just find that little edge, and just hit that. Like because I run my studio up here, then the shop, they're all Mac based. The way I can share files from my phone to my iPad to my one MacBook to my MacBook Pro to my Mac Mini and then to my iPads for this and that and move stuff around, that ecosystem just friggin' works. And yes, I know I can do it PC, but it's nowhere near as smooth to set up. That's where Mac's always exceeded. User experience, interface, and flow. Because they know how to trap you in their ecosystem. I mean, that's part of their design, is to trap you in their ecosystem. And they do a really freaking good job with it. Alright, so now I can pull these guys. Okay, because they're starting to be the next up the chain. And we're going to go back in and freehand a lot of this stuff and shade it later. This is all just registration and kind of tone setting. Like right here, I want to make this back part darker. So I'm going to find a paper edge, or I'm going to cut a paper edge, and I can deal with that later. Or I could have saved it. Yeah, for sure, man. Mr. Powers, welcome. Yeah, I try to stay one gen back with cars. Like I always buy a 2-year-old car because all the tech bugs have been worked out usually by that point. Okay, so now I can pull the top of the head. Alright, so light's coming down, so this side is going to catch the light a little heavier, so this side's going to be the darker. So I'll get this whole skull done tonight, and then the next half we'll do the flowers and then background torches and stuff. So it should be a two-parter, should be perfect for this. Okay, so now, really simple, I'm just going to hit this one side a couple times. Okay, so now I can pull this side. Oop. I can get pretty dark in here. Now I can pull the bottom of the eyebrow. So see by working up now, that's the last thing pulled, and it pretty much stays. I can maybe hit the edges. But it's the brightest because it was the last to pull off. Alright, so now I just gotta do a lot of blah, 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 blah. Sorry. For that bottom eyebrow. Why not split it like the top? I might actually go here and here. I don't want to do a dead center split because it wouldn't really have it. It would be more this one and this one. So I'd probably more do... I would probably come in and do a little bit more like this in here. So it's got like a little plateau. And I would probably come up like this. To that side like that. That's probably how, that's not how I would handle it, that's how I'm handling it. I think that looks even cooler because now this looks like it pops out further. Sure. Okay, so teeths. Alright, whenever I do teeth, I always go from the outer edges and work my way up. And I'm going to go bottom set then top set because there's always a slight overbite. And it's easier for shading. So I can do both of these teeth like this. And now just quickly shade. Give it a little bit of side radius. A little cylindrical shading. Never mind, I see it now. Yeah, so you could have, but because I had this flat piece here, I don't want to have the center line going through. And I could actually run this here and this to here if I wanted to make this bridge come up a little bit more like this. So I can kind of go, find a curve, reverse curve. See that little bit there? And I could actually kind of go like this as well. See a little bit there? Now that just gave everything a little more depth. And we could also go back here and do a bunch of erasing as well. Alright, so we got teeth there. Now we can move to the next pair. Under here. Under there. There we go. Yeah, the more you start kind of studying, like there's a lot I can do in here and here. Like I can come down and find a curve. Like I could find a reverse curve in here like this. And just hit that side. Now there's an extra bevel there. There's all sorts of stuff I'm going to add in along the way. My goal here is to block out the big stuff and get the mask off. And then we can add all little goodies. We come up here like this. And we still have room to add more knots and stuff and all sorts of things. Alright, so now I'm just going to do that tooth. Then the one next to it. And the bottom row is done. And this is what I'll use. I'll go back to that black secondary. You're making me want to buy more Airbrush. Well, you could buy a painting of one. So I'm just going to hit that shadow there. And the cool thing about doing this, when I do the fire here, we're going to come in with transparents later, and I can put a fire glow on the sides and more of a yellowy wash in the middle, and then have the orangey red towards the sides. Or maybe I'll do a green fire and have a green glow to one side. We'll see. Or a pink fire, or whatever. Maybe we'll just let the fire color go to the highest bidder at the time. So see, I can take the freehand, that purple, and I can kind of carve these out a little more. Cool. Now let's do the upper row. Same process. Oh yeah, I'd love to do like a kabuki mask or some other types of masks. Okay, so now I can go here. Yeah. The same thing, just I go from the outer edges and work my way in. If I was on a dark surface, I would go the opposite. But I don't spray a lot of paint. Very minimal, because that way I get no edge. You did the Godzuki, yeah. You know you show your age when you say Godzuki. So now I'm just going to freehand around these teeth and make them look a little less stencily. So I can just come in. And add a couple little extra knots and stuff to them. And they're cool. And I can put a little darker on that side. Yeah, mask around the world. That'd be cool. Alright, so now a couple more pieces to pull. With this piece right here. But you know something? That should be lighter because that's horizontal plane. It's going to catch more light. So now I'm going to pull this guy. I think I might steal that idea and go for it. So I'm going to add to this right here. Poke that out. There's a nice heavy shadow around this whole piece. Around the bottom. And now that catches the most light because it's hitting top, and it's going to fade a little bit into this one. Oh, I got a really harsh meme from a friend of mine today. Speaking of, someone mentioned something about being older. Oh yeah, I did when we were talking about Kazuki, you know, older. It's our thing that if you're Gen Xer, which I'm sure a lot of us are in here, just to make us feel even worse, Kurt Loder from MTV, if you remember him at all, is turning 80. When I saw that, I was like, ugh. I'm just going to hit little edges there. Now I can just do a little wash, and this is where you can do some good old erasing techniques. Because you can come in now, and look, I can do some nice little highlighting before I do some washes. See that? Nice little highlight there. A little highlight there, going back to white. And we all feel all... Yep. Okay. Nice little erasing techniques before I do a yellow wash. I'm going to do like just a little bit of a yellow wash. So I want to kind of bring this out. Because I don't want to go back in with white later, because it's going to be too bright. Especially right here, I want to get that nose bridge. See, you know, those little highlights really just help punch everything out. Yep. Alright, here we go here. I can put a bright edge because I'm going to be side lighting a lot of this. So might as well. Yeah, it's going well. This is going to be a two-parter, London, so you can catch the next half next week. I was going to say due Monday, but I know taxes are due on Tuesday, so all the last-minute people, including myself, because my accountant passed away, so I have to find someone to help me file it, or at least get my extension in until I find someone that could take me on, because I found out very late that he had passed, so... See, the erasing is so easy because I kept it really light. And you could get away with leaving it like this. And just doing a little bit more erasing and be done. There we go. I'm going to go right down that. Look, I can bring this down to like a split in the wood a little bit. Like I said, this is really cool just the way it is. Oh, I forgot his goatee. I'm going to go a little darker here. That way I can get a little bit of extra shading. I can hit right here. There we go. You basically just dry brushed it. Yeah, this is an aluminum panel. Yeah, I did a dry brush drag with just a chip brush to do this initial. To make just a really simplistic wood grain, because I want it to be kind of like a piece of koa wood, which doesn't have a heavy grain. It's more of a fine grain. I actually have a piece of it that a friend of mine got me an airbrush holder made out of koa wood from Hawaii. Well, that he made. Actually, I think, yeah, he made it. I'll bring that out next week. Yeah, I mean, this, you can leave it like this. All I'm going to do is I want to like brighten it up a little bit. So I'm going to reach into my handy dandy paint holder, which are available for order right now on MacKayFineArt.com. Ding! So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this yellow. This is for the paint list. It's the W003 yellow. And I'm going to do very little. Very little. And I'm just going to wash. So check this out. Super little. Watch the before and after. I'm going to go far distance. And I'm just going to glaze it. Let's see if the side-by-side shows it a little better. Whoops. Actually, you know what? I think the 3/4 cam might catch it. Just a little bit of a yellow tint glaze over it. That's why I did the erasing first. I didn't want to be erasing after this tone. So you see the tones changing. See how it's getting a little bit more yellowier, a little bit more warmer. If you rewind and come back, you'd notice a difference. It's more subtle on the camera than it is in person. Right now it's really nice. It's got a nice like glow to it. No, the 3D is just a matter of just your angles and your shading. This is a great example of it. I'm going to go to the golden yellow now. Yeah, I don't always do the paint list. Sometimes I do. I've done them in the past. It depends if I have time. And it's usually kind of one of the last things I do on a video. So before I go live, like if I have like 10 or 15 minutes and the colors are mixed, before the feed, I'll do a paint list. So now I'm going to go a little bit more. Oh, yeah, now you can see it. See that? I'm going to keep this to the sides, because whether I do a green fire or a natural fire, I can play off this yellow color. There we go. That's a nice glow. And that's it. We'll figure out the eyes and stuff later. But that sets up nicely for the remainder of the project, which is going to be, do I have, there we go. So if those joined in late, this is the whole design. So we've done the whole mask and the 2 pegs. Now we just have to do the wraps, and then the 2 hibiscus flowers. So these will have some more color. So we'll do some greens, and I want to do these like, I think like a fluorescent pink to yellow to white, and then we'll have this to be like a yellowy orange. The little what's the word? God damn it. Stamen, before Warlock or someone says it. I think it's still called Stamen, so we'll get that. And then once that's done, I still have a white background to contend with, so there'll be a few different ways we can go about doing it. I haven't used any candy with this, but yeah, when I do candy, I don't really thin with much anyway. I will use the 4021, but I don't really reduce candy. Because when you mix the candy, like for airbrushing 1:1, 1 part 40/50, 1 part candy concentrate, it's pretty much reduced to spray as is. But if you need a little reducer, a little 4021 to kick. But I haven't used any candy in this. This is all Craytex transparents, not candy. So this is the regular Wicked transparents. But now you can see that nice tone. If I had a metallic or pearl down, I would use a candy. But because I don't, I use an illustration. I use not illustration. I use a regular transparent color. So yeah, I think that's a good stopping point. I don't want to get too far into the rest of it. I think we'll leave that for next week. I think we're just going to let it go to next Thursday. Like I said, Tuesday's tax time. Monday's my mom's birthday. So, and then we have Easter coming up. So we'll wrap this up. I was hoping to do an Easter project. But I think we'll have to do that after. I got a buddy's skull worked up, but it wasn't really ready yet. So we'll see. We'll see we'll see what next week brings. I have a lot of work on that trike to do, but we'll see. We'll see if I get a Easter one, or it's going to be a after Easter bunny skull, like after he gets eaten. we'll figure it out. So I hope everyone enjoyed this project so far. This is oops. There we go. So you see what the original one looked like. That was a freehand one back in the day on canvas. This is the more refined version. But you can see what I'm going for on it. So it looks cool. This is a fun one. I think we'll leave it there a little early. It's 9:45. I don't want to get into anything new. So if anyone's got any questions or anything they want to shoot at me before I take off, let me know. Pop them in. One final plug. This vector is available on the store. And if you are a member, if you are a Nerdy Trickster, you get 25% off that. So that is on MacKayFineArt.com right there. And that's also where you can order up the paint holders, the medicine cup holders, like I got here. There's 2 different ones, and the 1 ounce ones. Those are going to be making soon. And yeah, so hope everyone enjoyed the night, enjoyed the project. Yeah, the yellow really just see how it just warms it up. And because this masking was super thin and there's no cutting directly in the surface, there's no bumps, there's nothing to swell, clear coat, and you can clear over this with one shot. So, yeah. Use candy on metal or pearl mostly. Well, this is metal. I use candy when I want a brighter impact of a glow, typically, over like opaque colors. Or if I have metallic or pearl underlay, and I don't want to, you know, if you put a color down that's not a candy, that'll interrupt some of the pearl's luminescent or the metallic flake, so candies are best. Metal has nothing to do with it, unless it's like metal flake. But this is an aluminum metal panel, so candy doesn't. A candy, if you're not quite sure, candies really just mean it's all dye. There's no pigment. It's kind of like an ink, but it's actually a dye. So it's translucent, and it basically works on whatever's underneath it. So it'll let all the brilliance of the color or flake or pearl underneath it show through. When you use like a transparent, they work like a candy. It's just candies are a little bit more translucent. That's kind of the difference. Your link needs to be in the video description. Yeah, it usually is, and I forgot to put it in for these products because I got that done late. So, yes, MacKayFineArt.com. Go to that. I will go in the description and add those links in right after this. Rob, honey, thanks for everything. Gary, thank you. I hope everyone enjoys this. Yeah, this is a fun one I've been holding on for a while, and I thought this was a good time to do it. Get a little summer, spring feeling because it's coming, and it's slow around here. We got a little snow squall this morning and the other day in April, which is unheard of for this area usually, but we're still getting weird weather, so spring's just around the corner. But and that's it, man. 9:45. Hope you all have a great weekend. Secondary lining on minis with 60% candy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Internet for fixing D-lam using candies without creating halo. So, yeah, it's tricky. So what you have to do is, say you have silver. And I learned this from John Kosmowski, how to blend candy. So that's a good quick tip for everyone. If your underlying color was, say, silver, okay, then you had candy apple red on top of it, and you had to do a repair right in the middle of it. Where you would do the repair and spray the silver, add 20% of your candy to that silver, so you're spraying like a rose color silver in that center, and you're gonna softly blend that out, okay. Then what you can do is then you do candy. Straight candy, you can actually add a little bit of the silver into the candy and blend that out a little bit more, and then go straight candy and straight candy. That way you step out of it and you don't get a halo ring. You basically extend that out. You know, when you do a body repair, it's usually like 3 times, 3x, you do filler, primer, paint. When you do a candy repair, it's kind of like 4 or 5x. You do your repair, and then you do that candy blend, that base candy mix blend, and then candy with a drop blend, and then candy, candy, candy out. And that way, when you're out here, you're almost no candy. And sometimes I'll make the candy weaker as I go instead of stronger, and let that blend out. That way, there is no real halo. It's tricky, but I usually get away with it. I just did a Paul Yaffe bike that was like 15 years old that nobody had any color idea, and I worked out through it, all the different colors. And the bike's 100% restored. You can't see any blends. It was really tricky. It was brandy wines and candy reds over blue metallics, silver metallics, gold, and gold leaf. And the whole bike was smashed. And I got it to blend without anything. So, yeah, you just got to take your time and step it out. But that's how I would do it. Helps lovely. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I don't get too much candy bleed since I started with the 40-50. The 40-50 less bleeding, and then I don't use the reducers as much. I try to keep the reducers to a minimum so it doesn't reactivate. Because I hate using the 40-40. I pretty much threw all that stuff out. Yeah, like, it's been weird. All right. I think that's it. I think we ran it to the end. It's a good night. It's a good way to stop. Hope everyone has an awesome night. See y'all later. Peace. This is doing great. It says, thanks. I caught you late.